Awesome, because Kara and Joel are new here. Let's end this call the way we normally end our Thursday happy hours. So because you guys are both runners, I will ask you guys 5 questions. We can go Joel then Kara, Kara then Joel, whoever wants to jump in first. So the first one is, what is your most scenic beer? Or if you don't have a scenic beer, what's your, what do you have a memory of drinking a beer during a race? So those, one of those two. Either one of you want to jump in for that one?
How do we define a scenic beer?
A beer on a mountain or a beer with a view?
Okay. Beer with a view would definitely be any warm beers that I ended up storing in my in my trunk after a West Coast trail run. There's nothing like that.
Coming off Point Magoo and going right to the beach, you mean?
No, probably like Sexy Ridge.
Yeah.
Sexy Ridge.
like illegally in a state parking lot, in a state park parking lot, just having a beer out of your fridge with Money B.
Heard that.
It's happened enough times.
Yep.
9 o'clock in the morning, right? Or 10
I
o'clock
think
in
we
the
took
morning.
down some Black Death from Iceland too, after one of those.
That was on, yeah. That was on. That was on Rebus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. Carrie, you have either a scenic beer or a race beer story?
I have a scenic beer story. I think about what I think is my most scenic beer would be at the top of the Guinness Towers in Dublin. We were in the Guinness factory, and they have a tower that you can look across all of Dublin, and it's a 360 view. And you get really fantastic pours from the Guinness factory, because Guinness has so much more than just like the beer you think of in the United States. It's, the one chocolatey coffee tasting brew. There's they have lots of blonde ales, and they have just a variety, and their main beer there tastes so different than it does here in the United States.
Yeah, so Guinness actually brews multiple versions of their the stout, and depending on what part of the world you're in, they try to gear the beer towards the taste buds of that region. So
Are they saying that we don't have any taste?
That is exactly what they're
It's that
saying.
we like sugar and sweetness for the United States.
The one they brew for the continent of Africa is really sweet. I mean, that's a lot sweeter than anything else.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because the one in Ireland, for me, was not sweet at all, but I loved it. It was just great. You could drink it all the time. So I think my scenic beer would be the top of Dublin.
Awesome. Next question is first memory or experience with beer. Doesn't have to be craft beer. It could be craft beer. Kara, you want to tell a story or?
Yikes.
You watch all my videos and watch me make these videos. You don't.
I
you don't even
know,
prepare for
and
this
I
question.
always rack my brain for what my first.
Joel, you have an answer for this?
Yeah. I think honestly the first real beer. I mean, I drank beer a million times as like a youth, we'll say.
Youth.
But it's honestly it's probably the first like brewery that I went to, and I was like, oh, like this is a this is a different scenario, and it's not just because it's craft beer. Actually, I remember the setting, but I don't remember. Quite frankly, it was probably Half Acre in Chicago, and I like beer, and I like different types of beer, and trying different things, and didn't quite realize that there's like this cult-esque kind of following of all these craft brewers. When I'm standing in line for 10 people to taste on a Saturday, and I was like, I don't know. I ended up being like 30th in line the first time, and I was like, I did not realize that this was this big of thing, and there were this many people that were wasting all their time on beer like I was. So probably when I found the following.
Was that Daisy Cutter, Joel?
Daisy Cutter was kind of their flagship. I like one specifically. It was called Gossamer. It has a dragonfly on the label. Gossamer is only made very, very rarely. I actually have a good friend who's one of the taproom managers there, because it degrades in like 3 months for whatever reason. It's one of your like grapefruity kind of IPA type of things, a little bit of haze to it. But I'm like, when are you bringing it back? She's like, I tell you, it'll be gone because we can't can it anymore. Daisy Cutter is their flagship, but Gossamer is like the one beer that I'm like, yep.
Nice. I got to try.
remember.
Sure, do you remember your story now?
I think it was in high school. Our family, well, I shouldn't say our family. My brother and I used to throw epic ragers.
Don't worry, your parents aren't watching this.
Sorry, Mom. When my parents were out of town, and we'd have like our entire high school come over and rage at our house, and they had a joke that MGD was short for many good days. So I think my first beer experience was MGD, which is terrible, and I remember hating it, which explains so much.
It's better than Chris Gilbertson's 5-day warm Coors Light. Held his dad's trunk after fishing or whatever he was doing in Alaska over the summertime. So, all right, next up is favorite local, so within your state, favorite local brewery. Kara, you want to go?
I mean, for me, I think I like Good Society just because it is truly our local watering hole. The other thing I like about Good Society for me is that there's a portion of the proceeds goes to different nonprofits just every month, and depending on the brew that they have. So a lot of times it's for West Seattle Food Bank. I believe it was this summer, it was in June, that they did it for NAACP, different important organizations that need funding. So I like that it's delicious brew that does good thing for the world around us. So I'm going to throw my vote in for Good Society.
And Joel, you've already thrown out lots of names of Chicagoland breweries. So what's your favorite?
Well, I know I'm trying to think of a one that's that
You
I
have
haven't
to.
mentioned. Kind of ridiculous. You know, it is a cool place that has a really nice patio to go to. It's actually more in the city proper. Is Metropolitan, and they have great stuff. If you like, they're Anti-Heroes, their flagship. But if you like, any kind of like different variations of IPAs, they do a ton of different stuff with their, various. They're all takes on heroes and different superheroes and stuff like that. But it's a good spot to sit by the river, drink some beers. Good. But I'm pretty much here every week because I can ride a bike there.
Awesome. And the last question is outside your state. So Kara outside Washington, Joel outside of Illinois. Favorite brewery?
For me, I think I'm actually wearing a shirt for there. It's Brewdog Brewery in Cleveland.
Is it Brewdog?
Uh-huh.
No, that was Boss Dog.
Is it Boss Dog?
Yeah,
Oh,
Brewdog's out
hell.
of Scotland.
There you go. But we went there one night kind of on a whim and really liked the food and the beers and just the environment and everything like that. So I
I'm
think
slowly convincing her Cleveland's an awesome town.
anyway.
It
Like there.
really rocks.
I've been.
If you
It's
guys move, I have to move away too. So just know the weight you carry. If you
Also, I mean, you have
No
I
pressure.
mean, I think a second favorite brewery might be in Montana. Didn't you enjoy the beers over
I'm not
Imagination?
moving to Montana.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did like Imagination
In Missoula.
in Missoula, and I loved Missoula. I was surprised how much I liked Missoula because that was not going to be my shtick. But I actually really, really liked it there. But I still think I'm gonna throw it to Cleveland.
Awesome. Yeah, and we were able to share those beers with Gisette and Brian.
Yeah.
For Imagination.
Dude,
Imagination was dope, yo. It was
Yeah, this-
it was good. It was good.
Although Brian did describe one of them as cat piss taste.
that's like Simcoe.
Joel, your favorite brewery outside of Illinois?
I have an easy answer for that, but hold on one second. Is that a good flavor or a poor flavor, Brian?
It's not poor. That's like the essence of like a Simcoe hop is like you kind of get like a cat pissy flavor to it. But I mean, it's not bad. It's just like sort of like what its essence is. Like Mosaic, right? Like if it's done really well, it almost has like a blueberry note to it. I don't know. Everyone has its own thing. Like there's like some that have like a kind of like a weed element, and or I don't know. For Simcoe, it kind of like is cat piss. So if it's done well, it tastes good. If it's not, then it's terrible.
I feel you, and
I feel like I'm watching Top Chef right now.
I'll tell you with wine, you know, people say like, oh, that's like the French will call it vegetal or natural, and what they mean is that this Cabernet, the Cab Franc in here smells and potentially tastes like manure, and they call that. No.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Well, wine is predicated by like the soil, right? So it's like that. It does make sense.
All right, so for me, it was actually a Nashville brewery. One of the first like craft breweries did really well there. They kind of blew up in the South a little bit. It's called Yazoo. You may pronounce it as Yazoo. It's Yazoo. It's named after a river that's actually in Mississippi. I could get that wrong, but it's actually not in Tennessee. My cousin used to work there, and they do great stuff. It's a great spot to sit and have a beer. In area they call the Gulch, which is kind of a rehabbed old. It's mostly just former like rail yards, and now they've kind of refurbed it, and everyone likes to hang out there. But nostalgic place for me. That's spent a lot of time there. My cousin actually. When I met the brewmaster, I was like, so every one of he told me a great fact, and this was years ago, so I don't think I'm letting any trade secrets out here. I said, so like every beer that you do is 7.5%. And he goes, well, you know what the tax rate is above 7.5% alcohol in the state of Tennessee, right? I said, no, but it's more? And he goes, we only make 7.5% beers. And I was like, okay.
What a trip.
That's crazy. I mean, because I thought Tennessee is known for like whiskey, and whiskey's definitely above 7.5. So that's like a whiskey tax.
There's completely different things based on the spirit and where you can sell it. So if it's over 7.5, you can't sell it in a grocery store, but you can if it's 7.5% and under. No one actually tests it.
We should do an episode direct on Utah where it's like what below.
Yes.
It's like 4% or something like that, or if you
or some crazy number.
What's the point?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
3.5, 4.
Isn't Washington weird? I never pay attention. I probably should. But isn't Washington, we get taxed more on
So hard
higher
liquor,
alcohol?
and no, it's quantity. So if you're buying a liter or more, there's a sin tax. So there's an automatic flat fee plus like 60% or something like that.
It's absolutely insane.
I didn't even realize this. We were going to
some
some house party.
bullshit.
Yeah, we were going to a house party when we first moved here, and I bought like a $10 Jose Cuervo mixed bottle of margarita, and it cost us $20 because of all the taxes. It was insane.
Okay, I should pay more attention because I Instacart my alcohol and liquor too. So last night I got delivered wine bottles and whiskey, and I should probably pay more attention to what I'm getting charged for, but there's that.